Heartwarming nine-language wonder exposed. Millionaire laughs, then discovers her life-changing skill. In the heart of a bustling small town, Sarah Thompson stood at the front of her classroom, a beacon of hope with a smile that could light up the gloomiest of days. A single mother and dedicated schoolteacher, she poured every ounce of love and energy into her students. Today, however, was different. A poster announcing budget cuts flashed ominously on the wall, the once vibrant colors now faded against the stark white. The arts program, an essential outlet for many families, was about to vanish. "Can we save it?" A tiny voice piped up from the back. Sarah's heart clenched. She knew how much art meant to them. "If we work together," she started, but the words lingered in the air like unplayed notes. After school, she spent her evenings volunteering at the local community center, hoping to mend the threads of their artistic tapestry. One rainy Tuesday evening, as Sarah stood at the chalkboard, guiding a group of eager learners through basic English phrases, magic happened. The words flowed like a river, and suddenly she felt a wave of understanding wash over her. With every sentence, she realized she had a knack for languages, weaving together the hopes and dreams of those around her, regardless of their backgrounds. "Real talents shine in hard times," she exclaimed, laughter building as her students shared their stories: a Syrian doctor, a Mexican baker, a Brazilian artist. Each one, a testament to resilience, echoed the very values her father had instilled in her. Together, they painted a canvas of unity that touched the heart of the town. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One day, a wealthy philanthropist entered her classroom, just as Sarah shared a particularly poignant story about her father's belief in communal strength. He listened intently, and she could feel the air thicken with potential. Her passion ignited something in him, and for the first time, the town was seen. But with every light, there's a shadow. A local businessman, hungry for profit and indifferent to community struggles, sought to twist their plight into opportunity. Sarah received an enticing offer that could rescue her financially, but it meant leaving her community behind. Was this the price of survival? A tightness gripped her chest as she weighed the American dream against her deep-seated commitment to those she had grown to love. Just as she steeled herself to rally her neighbors, doubts seeped in. How could she stand against a businessman who wielded power like a sword? Yet, the faces of her friends, the smiles, the tears flashed in her mind, reminding her of what was at stake. In that moment of vulnerability, Sarah felt the swell of determination rising within her. Would she yield to fear, or would she stand firmly, ready to navigate the turbulent waters ahead? Together with her friends and newfound allies, she forged ahead to define what success truly meant, not as a fleeting American fantasy, but as a legacy of strength, love, and indomitable unity. Standing at the front of her classroom, Sarah felt the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. The offer from the businessman lingered in her mind, taunting her with visions of financial security. Yet, the faces of her students, the laughter echoing in the hallways, pulled at her heart in a different direction. "Tonight, we meet at the community center," she announced one day. "We need to brainstorm how to fight for our arts program." Her voice wavered slightly, but it was met with a chorus of nods, determination mirrored in their young eyes. They were ready to battle not just for art, but for unity. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over their gathering, the community center came alive. Chairs scraped against the floor, and chatter filled the air. Sarah took a deep breath, hoping she could channel the energy of her students into something powerful. "Thank you all for coming," she began, standing before a mix of parents, students, and friends. "This isn't just about art. It's about our identity as a community. We have stories, talents, dreams, We deserve a place to express them. The room erupted in applause. Her heart swelled, not just with hope, but with love for these people she had fought so hard to bring together. I can offer free English classes every Saturday, called out Bassem, the Syrian doctor. Let us share our skills. His face lit up as he continued. Art can communicate what words cannot. We'll use it to raise awareness of our plight. A wave of excitement surged through Sarah, her spirits lifting. Soon, the room buzzed with plans for a talent show to showcase their unique skills, with proceeds to support the arts program. The idea felt like a seed taking root, nurtured by shared enthusiasm. Days turned into weeks as they worked tirelessly. Each session sparked creativity, blending cultural backgrounds into genuine friendships. The walls of the community center were soon adorned with artistic murals reflecting their diverse heritages, celebrating unity. Sarah's heart danced at the sight. As the talent show drew near, anticipation bubbled in the air. Flyers spread across town, igniting curiosity. But as they hung posters in shop windows, Sarah felt a flicker of fear. What if no one came? What if they failed? She pushed the thoughts aside, focusing instead on all the love and talent blooming around her. On the night of the show, the community center overflowed with excitement. Sarah stood backstage, peeking out the crowd. It was packed families, friends, even strangers eager to witness the magic. As the curtains parted, the sound of applause rolled over her like waves on a shore. Then, something unexpected happened. A familiar sharp figure emerged from the crowd, the local businessman. His observation was like a storm cloud on this joyous occasion. Sarah's heart sank. Would he come to squash their hopes? The first performers took to the stage, and as their acts unfolded, children reciting poetry, adults showcasing dance, and art displayed in every corner, Sarah saw their passion shine. She couldn't shake that thought, though. What if he saw potential not for support, but for exploitation? As she prepared to welcome the final act, a calmness washed over her. This was more than a performance. It was a declaration. Sarah stepped into the spotlight, her heart racing, the microphone warm in her hand. "Thank you for being here tonight," she began, her voice steady. But would this moment be the end or the beginning? The night promised more than just applause. Was it about to become a turning point? The moment seemed to stretch infinitely as she locked eyes with the businessman in the crowd. The stakes heightened. What would he do next? Sarah's heart raced in her chest as the businessman remained rooted in place, his expression unreadable under the dim lights of the community center. The room was charged, filled with anticipation, laughter, and a profound sense of belonging. She cleared her throat, focusing on the vibrant faces in front of her, the young artists clutching their paintbrushes, the inspiring poets ready to share their verses, and the dancers shaking off their nerves. They all believed in something greater. They were ready to share their stories, their struggles, their dreams. This was their moment. Tonight is about connection, she continued, pushing the tension in her chest aside. It's about embracing our differences and celebrating who we are together as a community. With that, the spotlight shifted to the final act, a young girl named Mia who had a talent for drawing. Mia had come to Sarah last month, distraught over her struggles to express herself. But now, she wore her mother's pearl necklace like a crown, a signal that she felt strong, beautiful, and ready. In the midst of the spectators, Sarah noticed the businessman begin to lean forward, his eyes narrowing as he focused intently on the little girl. Mia took her place on stage, holding up her drawing, an intricate mural depicting a colorful melting pot of people. Each stroke was filled with love and hope, a visual testament to all that they had built together. As Mia spoke, her soft voice captured the audience. Art is what makes us feel alive. It's what ties us together like a big family. I want us all to be seen. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The words poured from the young girl's heart, and for a fleeting moment, all doubt faded. The authenticity of their mission echoed louder than any fear or insecurity she had felt. But then she caught the businessman's eye again, and doubt crept in once more. He had a reputation, a cold, automaton-like presence in town, known for buying up struggling businesses and flipping them for profit. Would he see all of this, the magic they created, and twist it to his advantage? As Mia finished her piece, a wave of applause swept through the audience, echoing off the walls of the center. Sarah watched as Mia beamed, her cheeks flushed with pride, the audience's adoration wrapping around her like a warm blanket. Suddenly, the businessman stood up, cutting through the applause. The music faded, moments stretching thick with tension and uncertainty. Was he about to speak, to crush their hopes, to reveal his intentions? Sarah's heart plummeted. "Excuse me," he called out, raising a hand as the crowd hushed. The weight of his words loomed, their unpredictability setting Sarah's heart fluttering. What could he possibly say that wouldn't threaten everything they had fought for? "Your show is interesting," he began, his tone flat, "but it has potential beyond these walls." Sarah felt everyone's gaze shift between them, currents of energy buzzing. What did he mean? She thought, her mind racing. Mia stood there, still shining in her innocence, and the faces of those who had poured their hearts into this moment remained expectant. He continued, "I think it's time for someone like me to invest in this talent." Sarah felt the ground shift beneath her. What was his true motive? A chance to grow or a chance to take? As she opened her mouth to respond, all eyes were fixed on her, the future dangling in the balance. What would she choose to say? Would she protect their vision from a predator, or could this be the lifeline they so desperately needed? The spotlight felt hotter, the silence more piercing. Sarah inhaled deeply, ready to speak her truth. Would she seize the moment or let it slip away? Sarah's mind raced as the businessman's words hung in the air. Invest. Was that truly what he meant? She could feel the weight of her community's desires pressing down on her like a thick fog. The warmth that had filled the room moments ago felt like it was being snatched away. Mia stood at the center of it all, her small frame lit up by the fading stage lights. She didn't understand the underlying tension, her eyes sparkling with excitement. The child believed in magic, the kind that made everything whole, that turned dreams into colors on canvas. How could Sarah possibly respond? Taking a step forward, Sarah broke the silence, her voice steady but tinged with a caution she couldn't shake. "We appreciate your interest," she started, feeling each word like a stone within her. "But this space is not just about talent. It's about community." The businessman's brow furrowed slightly. "ISNT community, simply a collection of talents coming together? With the right investment, what you have can reach even more people. Open new doors." A soft gasp rippled through the audience. Whispers began to travel. Sarah could see a mix of hope and concern flickering in their eyes. "Or it could be exploited," she countered, her voice rising slightly. "We've worked hard to create a safe space for artistic expression. We're not just looking for financial backing. We want to nurture creativity, to give our artists a platform that honors what they produce." She could feel the tension in her chest start to dissipate, replaced by a spark of something unfamiliar, confidence, perhaps. The murmurs in the crowd grew a bit bolder as she regarded their faces, finding encouragement in the understanding. Would they back her? If she turned him down, would they support her choice? "Art isn't a business to me," she said slowly, meeting his gaze unflinchingly. "It's a lifeline. We aren't simply selling pieces for profit. We're sharing experiences and healing through creativity." His eyes narrowed again, and she wondered if she crossed a line. Just then, Mia stepped forward, clenching her drawing tightly. "I want everyone to be happy," she piped up, her small voice cutting through the tension. "If we can help more people, maybe that's good too." The room grew quiet. Everyone shifted under the weight of Mia's words. For a moment, Sarah felt the pull of uncertainty. The sweet innocence of the girl reminded her of the feelings they all fought for. But was Mia too young to understand the implications of what they were discussing? The businessman chuckled, a soft, almost dark laugh. "See, even she understands there's power and leverage in growth." Sarah felt boiling anger at his patronizing tone. This ISNTA game. The crowd began to buzz with energy again. Eyes shifted to Sarah, waiting for her to make the final call. Did they want growth at the cost of their ideals? Or would they hold tight to their vision of art and community? I believe we can find a way to collaborate that respects our mission, she proposed, feeling every heart in the room beat alongside hers. A way for you to support us without losing who we are. The businessman paused, arching an eyebrow. She couldn't read his expression, but the air changed, thick with possibility. What exactly are you suggesting? He asked. Sarah felt the pulse of the moment thrumming against her skin. This was her chance to shape not just her fate, but the future of every artist in the room. What path would she choose to take? As she prepared to outline her vision, the weight of the world rested on her shoulders. Would this lead to the transformation they sought, or were they just setting themselves up for heartbreak? But just as she opened her mouth to speak, the faint sound of shattering glass echoed from the back of the room, freezing everyone in place. Eyes widened, breaths caught what had just happened. The true test was about to unfold, and Sarah braced herself for the unexpected. What had shattered, and what would it reveal? The sound echoed through the room like a gunshot, reverberating off the walls and rattling the hearts of everyone present. Sarah's eyes darted to the back, where shards of glass lay scattered across the floor. Mia's hands instinctively flew to her mouth, her drawing slipping slightly in her grip, the bright colors now dull against the chaos. "Stay calm," Sarah shouted, her voice rising above the worry and fear. "It's okay. We just need to see what happened." As she moved toward the disturbance, Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. Had someone accidentally knocked over a drink? Or was it something more serious? The businessman's smirk had vanished, replaced by a look of mild concern. His polished persona was cracking under the pressure of uncertainty. The crowd buzzed with anxious questions. What happened? Is everyone okay? Stepping closer, Sarah found a broken window with jagged edges jutting out like teeth. A stone lay among the shards, its edges rough and unforgiving. A few gasps erupted from the front of the room, and Sarah felt a knot in her stomach tighten. This wasn't an accident. This had purpose. Is there someone out there? She thought aloud, scanning the dimly lit street beyond the glass. That chilling feeling crawled along her spine. Gradually, murmurs shifted to speculation. Who would do such a thing? Why here? Sarah felt the stares of her community weigh down on her. They were looking to her for answers, but she had none. "Everyone, please stay where you are," the businessman urged, his tone suddenly commanding despite the unease in his eyes. "I'll make sure this is handled. We can't let this ruin our meeting." But Sarah felt a fierce protectiveness swell within her. This wasn't just about a business meeting or an investment anymore. This was about their sanctuary being threatened. Stepping forward, she demanded, "Why would it ruin anything? It shows we have passion and stakes for what we have built here." The room fell silent at her declaration. It was heartfelt and raw, an embodiment of their hopes and aspirations. "Whoever did this is afraid," Sarah continued, a fierce determination overcoming her moment of fear. "Afraid of what we can achieve together. We will not be shaken. We will stand stronger." Just then, the door swung open with a heavy creak, revealing a young man framed in the doorway, breathless and panicked. "I saw someone," he panted. "I think they're still out there." The air crackled with tension, and Sarah's heart raced. She glanced back at Mia, whose eyes were wide and shimmering with worry. The innocence of the child was now overshadowed by the reality of the world. They lived in a world that sometimes threw stones where it shouldn't. "Everyone, please stay together," she called again, her voice steady, even as the weight of fear pressed around her. The crowd hung on her every word, clinging to her strength. "Help is on the way," the businessman stated, his earlier charm replaced by authority. But Sarah knew that help was not something to count on blindly. "I need you all to trust in one another. Now more than ever, we'll figure this out together." Those words pulsed through the room, igniting a faint sense of solidarity amongst the artists. As they exchanged determined looks, Sarah felt herself buoyed by their resilience. What if we use this moment? Sarah stirred, a plan forming in her mind. What if we turn their fear into a message? A celebration of our creativity when we feel threatened? The businessman turned to her, intrigued. What do you mean? Before she could respond, a loud crash resounded, and the crowd flinched. Anxiety rippled through the assembled artists, and Sarah felt their collective heartbeat racing. The gamble she was about to take could either unite them or tear them apart. What if we host a live art demonstration? An expression of our emotions, an art show that sends a message. We won't back down. Just as murmurs of agreement began, the door slammed open again, revealing shadows that loomed larger than life. Fear clawed at her throat. Who were these intruders, really? And what were they? Demanding? Sarah held her breath as the figures advanced, the tension building like a tightly wound coil. Would this be the moment they all stood together, or would it be a split that changed everything? The answer loomed, thick and heavy as the night around them. Would art be their salvation or their undoing? The figures stepped into the light, revealing themselves as a group of rough-looking individuals, faces obscured by the shadows of the dim room. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. They were a stark contrast to the vibrant artists surrounding her. Discomfort pulsed in the air like a live wire, and she could feel the crowd shrink back instinctively, their previous resolve cracking under the harshness of reality. "Who are you?" Sarah called out, pushing herself forward, trying to project calmness amid the chaos swirling around her. "What do you want?" The tallest one smirked, their eyes glinting with an unsettling mix of bravado and menace. "We just want your attention," he said evenly, his voice slicing through the thick tension. "And we think this little gathering could use a reality check." The murmurs returned, rising in volume as uncertainty flooded the room. Sarah glanced at her fellow artists, searching their faces for courage. Mia, clutching her drawing tighter, looked up at Sarah with wide, terrified eyes, while others shifted anxiously, unsure whether to fight or flee. "Listen," Sarah began, her heart pounding like a hammer. "You can't intimidate us. We're here to create, to build something beautiful together. Is that what you want to destroy?" A ripple of agreement echoed through the crowd, gaining momentum. "We're not backing down," someone shouted, and more voices joined in, growing bolder, reverberating with defiance. The break in their collective fear lit a flicker of hope in Sarah's chest. She sensed the shift. This was no longer just about the intruders. It was about reclaiming their space, their safety, and their art. "I say we show them," Sarah declared, her voice ringing with clarity. "We'll hold that live demonstration right here, right now. We'll paint our feelings, our anger, our resilience." "Yeah," echoed another voice, this time more certain, resonating through the crowd like a battle cry. The taller intruder shrugged, appearing momentarily caught off guard. "You think your paint and pretty drawings can scare us off?" But Sarah could see the hesitation creeping into the men's stance. Maybe, just maybe, they had underestimated the power of unity. "Beauty can be a force," Sarah said, her voice steady. "It has the power to move hearts and change minds. We will show you what we've created, not just with our hands, but with our spirits." As the crowd rallied around her, grabbing paintbrushes, canvases, and markers, an unexpected warmth filled the room. They were comrades in arms now, ready to rise above threats that tried to shatter their sanctuary. Mia stepped forward, inspiration flickering in her innocent eyes. "Can I paint too?" she asked, holding out her drawing. It was a burst of colors, a glowing representation of hope amidst the darkness. "Of course you can, Mia," Sarah chimed, kneeling beside her. Everyone should feel free to express themselves. The tension felt less suffocating now as the artist began to set up, colors flying, laughter penetrating the anxiety. The tall intruder watched, a puzzled expression etched upon his face. "This is ridiculous," he spat, but Sarah could see something shift inside him, a flicker of confusion, perhaps even curiosity. With each stroke of paint on the canvas, the mood lightened. Voices filled the air. The artists were painting not just for themselves, but for everyone who felt oppressed, for those silenced by fear. Sarah felt a bond grow strong among them, each stroke thickening the layer of their resolve. Suddenly, the door swung open wide, and the unexpected sound of sirens wailing in the distance interrupted their moment. Sarah's eyes widened. Help is here, she realized, but would it come in time to witness their transformation? As the sirens drew nearer, tremors of uncertainty swept through the crowd again. Would those who came to help seize the opportunity to make a difference, or would the beauty of their moment be lost in chaos? Sarah felt a rush of urgency mixed with hope. Let us show them, she whispered, urgency welling up inside her. What awaited them beyond the door could solidify their strength or splinter their resolve. How will they perceive our protest of art? Sarah pondered as the tension sat heavy again. Would it be enough for the world outside to see their art as it truly was a battle against fear, a testament to their collective spirit? Courage surged through her. She could only hope that the day's worth of paint wouldn't be wasted. Would their vibrant colors speak volumes louder than fear ever could? And if so, would they find the power to reclaim their future? Just then, the front door burst open, and two uniformed officers rushed in, their faces stern and alert. The cries of sirens echoed behind them, bouncing off the walls in a chaotic rhythm. Sarah watched as the crowd turned, shifting uneasily at the sight of the police. This wasn't just a rescue. It felt more like a spotlight revealing their brave act of rebellion. Everyone, stay calm, one of the officers called out, his voice booming over the confusion. What's going on here? The tallest intruder stepped forward, trying to regain control of the situation. These people are disrupting the peace, he shouted, his bravado cracking under the weight of scrutiny. They think they're artists. Just look at this mess. But Sarah wasn't about to let fear pull her down now. We're not the problem, she said, stepping toward the officer. We're expressing ourselves. We're taking a stand against intimidation. This is our art, our message. The officer looked between Sarah and the intruders, his brow furrowing with indecision. The sounds of laughter and brushes scrapping against canvas created a dissonant harmony with the officer's grave presence. Art? One officer echoed, glancing at the colorful canvases decorated with emotions spilling out of every stroke. You call this art? Yes, Mia cried, her small voice cutting through the air. She held up her drawing, colors swirling like a sunset. This is hope. This is us. For a moment, the officer hesitated, his hard demeanor wavering as he took in the scene before him. Sarah felt a pulse of unity within the group, grounded in their shared purpose. They stood together, a vibrant testament of resilience against an oppressive atmosphere. But the tall intruder regained his composure. Listen, this is just ridiculous. He spat again, trying to reassert his authority. You think this will change anything? You're wasting your time. A profound silence filled the room as the artist began to paint passionately, brushing bold strokes across the canvas that represented their fears and dreams, igniting a visual debate. Sarah could see some officers exchanging glances, their resolve faltering at the sight of so much passion. Maybe, Sarah interjected, her voice louder, what is truly ridiculous is thinking you can scare us into silence. This is our truth, painted for everyone to see. She turned to the crowd. Keep painting. Let us show them who we are. Echoes of their cheers mingled with the sirens outside. The police presence felt less like a barrier now and more like an audience to their performance. And as the crowd worked, adding layers to their canvases, they became more than just artists. They became a movement, a force unified by their purpose and creativity. But just as their energy hit its peak, the officer raised his hands. Wait a minute, he shouted, his voice cutting through the fervor. This isn't a crime. It's a problem we can solve together. Another officer stepped in, her expression warmer. Art has power. Let's find a way to keep this space safe and allow you to continue. To Sarah, those words felt like a lifeline. She could sense the tide turning. And for the first time since the intruders arrived, hope blossomed wildly inside her. She could see the uncertainty begin to fade from the locals' eyes, replaced by a fierce determination to keep creating together. Their canvases were now a tapestry of raw emotions and collective will, a visual protest against fear itself. "Let them see us," Sarah shouted, buoyed by the moment. "Let them see who we are." But just as the atmosphere shifted to one of encouragement, a low growl of threat emerged from the tall intruder. "You think this changes anything? You're making a mistake." The police officers stood firm, ready to protect, but the question hung in the air like a storm cloud. Would the fragile connection they had forged be enough to hold back the threat? Sarah took a deep breath, recalling the colors swirling around her. The power of their art was undeniable. Yet in that moment of unity, she also realized there were battles still to come inside and out. Was this just the beginning of their transformation, or had they unleashed a force they couldn't contain? The canvas awaited their next stroke, but so too did the tension waiting at the edge of the door. The tension filled the room, thick enough to slice through. Sarah's heart raced, a mix of courage and fear coursing through her veins. She needed to rally her friends, to show them that unity held power. "We can't let intimidation stifle our voices," she shouted, her voice shaking but determined. Mia stepped beside her, paintbrush in hand, colors smeared across her cheeks like war paint. "We have to keep painting," she urged, her eyes wide with belief. "It's more than just colors, it's our truth. Our art speaks." Their canvases shimmered with defiance, capturing their hopes and fears. One officer, who seemed to squint past his initial judgment, nodded slowly, the corner of his mouth curling slightly as he grasped the moment unfolding before him. "This isn't how it's going to end," the officer said, glancing at his partner, who was now deeply engrossed in a vivid mural unfolding against the wall. The other officers lowered their shields, sensing the palpable shift in energy, their roles evolving from enforcers of the law to protectors of a growing movement. The tall intruder scoffed again, but the others began to look uncertain, their bravado dwindling. "You think a pretty picture is going to solve anything?" he barked, but the resolve in Sarah's eyes silenced him. "Hope isn't pretty, it's messy and chaotic and real," Sarah cried, gesturing to the crowd of painters. "Just like us. Look around. This is a community, and we aren't going anywhere." Encouraged by her words, people began to murmur and join in, adding strokes of their own to the collective artwork. Depression transformed into vibrant bursts of color as they captured intangible emotions that had once felt insurmountable. Amidst the laughter and lively discussion, Sarah felt a surge of warmth. When art brought people together, walls began to crumble. As paint splattered and laughter danced around them, it felt impossible that just minutes ago they had been on the brink of chaos. However, the tall intruder clenched his fists, his frustration visibly brewing. "You're naive, thinking this will shield you for what is coming." His threat hung in the air, a dark cloud weaving ominously above their joyous tapestry of colors. The atmosphere shifted again, uncertainty creeping in. Sarah struggled to hold on to the momentum they had built. "We want to live in fear," she shouted as the vibrant colors suddenly dimmed, her voice echoing in their hearts. "If we stand together, fear has no hold." A plan began to form within Sarah's mind, but she knew it would require every ounce of strength and creativity they possessed. They needed to leverage this moment, to transform it into something tangible that could rattle even the hardest of hearts. "What if we take this art and turn it into an exhibition?" she exclaimed. "Something that will bring everyone in the community together, opening conversations and breaking barriers." The murmurs crescendoed into excited voices, the idea gaining traction like their art threading through the chaos. But just as this new dawn emerged, the tall intruder's laughter rose, chilling and dark. "You really think this will have an impact?" he sneered, stepping forward, his shadow looming over their glowing canvases. "No one here believes you anymore," one of the locals snapped back, firming his stance beside Sarah. But as voices rallied, so too did the deep-rooted question linger in Sarah's mind. Was creating a moment enough to last against the storm brewing outside? As the intruder's eyes flickered with menace, she realized they needed more than art. They needed a strategy that could withstand confrontation, something neither the police nor the intruders could ignore. With her heart pounding, she took a breath. They were united in passion and purpose, yet the stakes felt higher than ever. "Let us show them who we are, not just with our art," she proclaimed, rallying their spirits. "Let us show them by stepping outside these walls." As the crowd cheered, a new sense of determination ignited within Sarah. But as she caught sight of the tall intruder's smirk, her stomach twisted. Would stepping into the light be their liberation, or could it invite a new level of danger they weren't prepared for? The canvas was alive, and so was their movement. What awaited them outside could change everything. Would they find the courage to face it together? The doors beckoned, and beyond them, a world intertwined with both hope and uncertainty awaited. Sarah took a deep breath, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. The air crackled with anticipation as they faced the doors. She could feel the energy shift around her, a collective heartbeat synchronizing with hers. If this was a moment of truth, they were ready to embrace it. "We have to move," she urged, her voice steady, like a captain rallying her crew. Mia nodded, paintbrush still clutched in her hand, the colors on both their faces a badge of honor. Around them, others formed a determined line, gripping their brushes and paint buckets like shields. The tall intruder's smirk faltered for just an instant as Sarah stepped forward, leading the charge through the open doors. Bright sunlight flooded in, hitting their faces like a warm embrace. With each step into the outside world, their vibrant canvases seemed to light up, almost alive in the glow as they poured out onto the street. It felt like stepping onto a battlefield, but this time it was one of their own making. Music flowed from nearby speakers, and the sounds of laughter and chatter filled the air. They were no longer isolated. In this moment, they were part of something vast and magnificent. Nearby, neighbors and friends people Sarah had grown up with gathered, their eyes full of curiosity. Some were drawn by the sounds, others by the colors splashed across the walls. Conversations sparked like fireworks, igniting a sense of community that had long been dormant. "Look at what they're doing," someone exclaimed, all etched across their face. "That's our art." Sarah felt warmth bloom in her chest, her apprehension fading. The streets began to fill with new faces, curious onlookers swapping stories. Those who were once hesitant now moved closer, their eyes wide with interest, drawn in by the energy radiating from the group. "Let us give them something to remember," Sarah shouted, adrenaline coursing through her, her voice rising above the crowd. "Let us create an art gallery right here, right now. Everyone can join." As her words hung in the air, she watched the vibe shift. More and more painted footprints moved forward, brushes dancing, colors merging. This was not just art. It was a movement, vibrant with possibility. But then, the tall intruder's figure loomed at the edge of their gathering, his shadow stretching far and wide, threatening to overshadow their newfound joy. He raised his voice, attempting to drown out the laughter. "You think this changes anything? You'll regret this." Murmurs of anger and defiance rippled through the crowd. Sarah felt a surge of courage. Regret? No, there would be no regret in this space. Not for her or her friends. "Look around," she shouted, lifting her brush high for all to see. "People are coming together, and they always will. We want to be silenced by threats. This is our time." The sound of her voice echoed, amplifying the growing triumph. Cheers erupted, and people shouted in agreement. The intruder's sneer twisted into a grimace as he took a step back, his power slipping away. With the crowd behind her, Sarah felt invincible. They were painting their future. It was splattered with hope, defiance, and unity. Each stroke of paint transformed not just the walls, but the very atmosphere around them. A fight was brewing, but it wasn't just their art at stake. It was their voices, their stories, and their right to be heard. As they continued to paint, blending palettes of chaos and harmony, Sarah suddenly paused, her heart racing at the realization. This wasn't just an act of rebellion. It was the start of a transformation, the dawn of something larger than any of them could imagine. But then she caught a glimpse of the intruder's eyes. They flickered with desperation, a strange mix of fear and fury. What was his next move? Would he escalate? With each stroke she painted, Sarah felt both exhilarated and scared. Would they be able to hold on to this moment? The sun shone brightly above, yet a storm was brewing just beyond their horizon. The question hung, thick in the air. Could they keep their art alive without losing their safety in the process? As the vibrant mural swelled around them, one question loomed larger than all others. Would they survive the next move? The walls had come alive, but what about their spirits? The vibrant colors painted across the community center's walls glimmered as the darkness crept closer. Sarah could feel her heart racing, the tension of the day coiling tightly around her like a taut rope. But standing there, surrounded by her friends, the community she had fought for, she felt alive. There is so much power in our voices, she called out, her words firing through the crowd like sparks. This isn't just about art, it's about who we are. Beside her, Mia nodded enthusiastically, her small hands splattered with vibrant paints. We want let them take our joy, she declared, her innocence and fire cutting through the chaos. Her words rallied spirits, bringing a surge of enthusiasm as hands gripped brushes and canvases with renewed purpose. The crowd joined in, almost swelling like a wave crashing against the shore. We're not afraid, echoed through the streets, a chilling defiance against the looming threat. The intruder's smugness waned with the chorus of resilience rising around him. Do you hear that? Sarah shouted, her voice clear, piercing through the air. It's the sound of our community standing together. We're more than just artists. We're family, and we want to be silenced. Those words rang true. Each stroke of paint on the wall became a testament to their passion, their struggles, and their victory over fear. As the crowd painted, they began to blend individual stories into one beautiful mural, with each brushstroke representing a shared experience. Underneath the bright colors, a shadow loomed heavier. The tall intruder was still there, his anger radiating like an unsettling winter chill. But Sarah felt that darkness beginning to dissolve as she caught sight of familiar faces in the crowd, neighbors stepping forward with supplies, support, and courage. Together we are unstoppable. The intruder scoffed, but doubt crept in. He took a step forward, his bravado wanting to reclaim the moment, but the growing unity around Sarah appeared to drain him of his power. You really think this matters? He spat, yet the confidence in his voice thinned as he surveyed the expansive mural sprouting life before him. Just then, the sounds of sirens faded, revealing a deeper layer to his threat. It wasn't just about physical intimidation. It was about community, the very essence that could not be taken away from them. As if sensing the shift, the officer stepped closer, holding up a hand to silence the intruder. There is strength here, the officer said, his tone shifting, softer now. Strength in unity. Maybe it's time to listen. In that moment, everything paused. Sarah's heart swelled. The crowd maintained their colors, their brushes poised, and she dared to hope that perhaps they had turned the tide. Look at us, she shouted, eyes shining. We're not just a group, we're a movement. Let our art unite us. Everyone echoed her sentiment, and a wave of shouts rang through the crowd. Together, stronger, art for hope. The air buzzed with electricity, each heartbeat synced with a growing hope that was palpable. Even the officer nodded in agreement, slowly starting to change the narrative of fear that had filled the space. Beneath the jubilant cries, Mia tugged at Sarah's sleeve, her wide eyes like radiant stars. Will we be okay? She asked softly, her fear surfacing through the joy. Yes, Mia, Sarah replied, kneeling to meet her gaze. Together, we're making history. She looked around, meeting the eyes of the community neighbors, friends, students, families' faces she loved. We are the artists of change. With a shared glance, they unpacked their fears into something beautiful. The crowd surged forward, a kaleidoscope of colors spilling across the walls, transforming the space not just into a gallery, but a sanctuary of vivid narrative crafted from their struggles and triumphs. As the mural came alive, the atmosphere shimmered. Each stroke sprawled more than mere pigment. There were stories and aspirations laced throughout. Sarah felt the warmth of those around her, their passion igniting a flame that felt unstoppable. Finally, with a resolute heartbeat, Sarah turned back toward the tall intruder, who now faded in intensity, uncertainty etched across his face. "This is the power of community," she declared, her voice echoing in the charged air. "You may come with your threats, but we'll meet with our hearts." Together, the intruders stepped back, and with that, the confidence in the crowd surged forward, an undeniable wave of color and light. They had transformed fear into a message, a pulse of art that rang louder than any threat. And as they painted their final strokes, Sarah knew they had created something lasting, something that would resonate beyond this moment. This was not the end, but a new beginning for their community. Art, after all, wasn't just about colors and canvases. It was about connection, love, and the courage to stand tall against adversity. As the last brush dipped into color and Mia brightened the mural with her final flourish, Sarah smiled brightly, tears forming with joy. They had rewritten their story with each stroke, and as a community, they stepped out into the world, ready to embrace the challenges ahead together. This was their moment. This was their transformation. Now, it's your turn. If you felt the power of their journey, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for heartwarming tales like this. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this incredible ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. They deserve to join us in celebrating stories that uplift and inspire. Your engagement matters. Be a true fan and let your voice be heard.